Welcome back to the Scotland Tournament 9-hole Cup Expert Division weekend round, hole number 3. Here we're going to be blasting it across the gap using APOC 4 Plus. And we're using a P3 Plus side spin 2 plus wind 3 plus ball. However, even though you can play this with a P3 ball, I do recommend that you use a P4 ball if you're playing this APOC 5 plus, and a P5 ball if you're playing this APOC 4 plus. It's because we have a headwind, and if you catch a heavy headwind angle and you're playing it with a P3 ball, or if you're playing it with a P4 ball and an APOC 4, you're going to pull into OP and you're going to lose some distance. Because we're playing a full OP shot. It's full controlled OP if you use a P5 ball, but if you're using a P3 ball or P4 ball, depending on your club level, you're going to lose, the distance of whatever you pull into your overpower. And so what that does is that brings your second bounce really close to the rough on the bottom on the other side of the water, and it could cause you to clip the rough and roll out. Now, even if you do clip the rough and roll out, you're still in in-bringer range. You can still play the EB shot. However, you'll have to tweak the spins and the landing position, because you'll be landing either on the fringe or right around the green fringe line or on the fairway if you try it with no spin, and that completely changes how it plays. And I'll go over that. But if you're using a P5, like a luminary type ball, then you don't have to worry about any of that, because you don't lose that distance from pulling into overpower. So we're going to set up top of the 16. So APOC 4, you'll have the yellow ring on the left rough at the top of the plus 22, and we recommend at least the P5 ball. APOC 5 and 6, you'll have 2/3 of the red ring in the left rough at the top of the 16. APOC 7, you'll have 1/3 of the red ring in the left rough, and APOC 8 is red ring touching the left rough. And that's all at the top of the plus 16. Curl. So you do need to tweak the curl depending on wind strength here, as the lower wind, you're not going to get as much wind pushed back to the right, and therefore you're going to need to pay attention to that and change the curl as needed per wind strength. Now, you can play this with 5.8 top and 2 left. The adjustment is P3 plus 10% max. It can be played with 5.8 top and 2 left. However, we recommend that if you have more top spin, use as much as 7 top spin. So if you have 7 top spin, play it with 7 top spin, APOC 6 plus. APOC 4 and 5, you'll be stuck using 5.8. But as long as you're using a P5 ball, it shouldn't be an issue. It will still put you pretty close to the green for a standard in-bringer shot, even with 5.8 top. The additional top spin just gets you a little closer to the green and gives you a more straight tailwind approach shot. So for curl, it's going to depend on wind strength. And so what we're looking at is our center line. Okay, so here, basically it's full overpower, and your center line will be touching the outside of the triangle left curl for winds anything 8 or more, right? So 8+ mile an hour, this is the curl you want to see. If your wind is in the 7s, then you're going to want to play this one with your center line touching the top tip of the triangle. If your winds are in the 6s, then you're going to want to play this one with your center line about, yeah, that's a little too far, about right here. And then if your winds are in the 5s, if you're playing this with, say, a 5-2-5 ball or something similar, then you'll need to reduce the curl to about here with your center line. And again, that's because we're not getting as much wind push to the right. And if you don't reduce your curl, then you're going to end up over curling it, most likely either clipping the rough on your second bounce or rolling long into the rough after you hit the fairway with your second bounce. So this prevents that from happening. So pay attention to your wind strength, reduce the curl as needed, depending on, how high your wind is, and you should be good to go. This one, as long as you are paying attention and curl it properly, you want to pull this drive straight with a slight 1159 flicker. And that is to help keep you from coming up short and to help keep you from ending up too far to the left. So straight with a slight 1159 flicker for the pull. Make sure you get your curl according to your wind strength. Full overpower. If you're using a P5 ball, it's somewhat controlled. And if you get everything right, it should be minor great safe both sides. I used 7 topspin here, and you can see I'm going to roll out to, I think, around 402. Very nicely, just next to the green. Very easy in-bringer shot. If you're using 5.8 topspin, you're just going to be roughly the same line. If you got your curl right, you'll just be, you'll be more in the area down here, right? Instead of up here. One thing I can tell you, if you do, say, hit a great left or, get some kind of wonky bounce and you clip the rough and you roll out really short way down here somewhere, when you play your in-bringer, it still plays the standard in-bringer rule, plus 20% at slider, using the standard EB rule. Always match the power in your app to the power ball you're using. So if you're playing it with a P4, make sure you're doing P4 plus 20 at slider in your app. If you're playing it with a P5, use P5 in your app plus 20 at slider. But now if you're down here, if you clip the rough and you roll out short, what's going to happen when you go to play your standard in-bringer rule, you're going to be set up either kind of around the green fringe line, or it's going to want to have you setting up somewhere down here below the fringe if you don't add any spin. And what you'll find is if you're trying to set up off of the green, below the fringe, your ball guide is going to kick hard to the right. All right, so we don't want to do that. At a minimum, we want to set up in the middle of the fringe. Set your target, your bullseye, middle of the fringe. You'll see that ball guide is going to kick to the left and be a lot straighter. And then all you have to do is add backspin only until the tip of the ball guide is going through the hole by about a cup, right? If you notice that when you set up with no spin, If you notice that you're somewhere around the green fringe line, make sure that you push it up a little bit and set up completely on the green. You want to be at least probably 2 to 3 rings onto the green away from that fringe line, because if you clip the fringe line, it's going to kick the ball off to the side. So just pay attention to that, and that usually only happens if you clip the rough or get a really short rollout on your drive. Just pay attention, make sure you're not setting up anywhere near this or anywhere down here on the fairway, right? You either want to set up middle of the fringe or on the green completely. Middle of the fringe or completely on the green. And you can just add straight backspin. It's not going to change anything as far as the adjustment goes. You still play it the standard 20% EB rule, even though you're adding backspin. Just make sure that your ball guide is through the back center of the cup by about a cup. Should be good to go. I have hit a double great left, clipped the rough with my second bounce, rolled out. I was pretty short, but I was still well within in-bringer range, right around the 70, 75% EB range. I still played it the P5 20% EB rule. The only changes I had to make was to ensure that I didn't hit that green fringe line and that I didn't set up on the fairway below the green. So should be good to go no matter what, unless you get something crazy happen. Hopefully you'll be walking away from hole number 3 with the eagle, and we will catch you on the next hole. Good luck.